Well, hi there. Thanks for joining us this afternoon to talk about belonging, the value of belonging at work. We're going to talk about what is belonging, why is it good for business, and then how to create belonging at work. Ultimately, my point is this: it's up to you as a business leader to create belonging at work. It's good for business, and it's good for your employees and for yourself. In fact, it's good for life. We're going to dive into it. So, thanks again for joining us. So, first, I just want to share something about what we've seen over the past several years. In 2020, we had the COVID-19 pandemic. And in 2021, a lot of the news and conversations were focused around what was being called the Great Resignation. A record number of people were voluntarily choosing to leave their jobs. And while this is true, it may have just been a correction to what had gone on in 2020, but there's a longer term trend here that we need to be aware of and doing something about. I think this needs to be addressed. It's crucial to business and to the workforce, to the health of our culture and our society as a whole. And I'm going to share a, um, a slide. So, what we see here is this trend over a period of time from 2009 all the way to 2022. And what we can see is over time, as a percentage of the total employed workforce, voluntary resignations increase about 0.1% every month. And we can see that between 2009 and 2022, the rate has doubled. The number of people employed in the workforce that are voluntarily leaving their job is doubled. And sure, during 2020, there's a big dip. And I believe this was an anomaly. People weren't quitting. I mean, employers were furloughing them, or the government was pushing companies to hold on to as many employees as possible to keep them employed. In fact, that's what a lot of the PPP loan was about, is just keeping those folks employed. Just to confirm, not just the number of people choosing to leave their job increased, but the number of people who became reemployed was going up as well. So we're not talking about people leaving the workforce. We're talking about people just merely switching jobs. Why is that doing? Why are they doing that? I contend it's because there's this basic human need that's not being met in the workplace. And that basic human need is the need to belong. So let's talk about what belonging is. Have you ever walked into a group of people or a meeting and you just kind of sensed right away, I don't belong here? You know, you just kind of get this feeling and you're reading the room and I just don't want to be here. Or have you ever been into an event or a group or a meeting and just really enjoyed it and said, this is where I belong. I really want to be here. Well, when you did, wouldn't it be awesome if you felt that all the time, especially at work or in those meetings? Better yet, what if all of your employees and coworkers felt the same way? What if they all felt every time they walked in the door every morning or every time they came into a meeting, they felt that sense, that same sense of belonging? That's what we would like to get. That would be ideal. Let's talk about what belonging is and the definition of it. Back in 1995, Ray Baumeister and Mark Leary did a study, and the study was called The Need to Belong: Desire for Interpersonal Attachments as a Fundamental Human Motivation. And this was their conclusion: human beings are fundamentally and pervasively motivated by a need to belong. Let me repeat that. Human beings are fundamentally and pervasively motivated by a need to belong. And they gave two reasons or two factors in feeling this sense of belonging. The first being a strong desire to form and maintain enduring interpersonal relationships. So this is relational with people, interpersonal relationships, and these attachments with one another. And then secondly, people are seeking frequently and effectively positive interactions within the context of long-term caring relationships. So in other words, we're looking for compassion from one another. We want to feel this attachment with people, that they're important, and we want there to be compassion, this some sense that we're being valued by them, that they care about us. Simply, our sense of belonging grows when we have frequent, positive, personal interactions with others. And secondly, when we are recognized and valued for our uniqueness. Recognized and valued for our uniqueness. Let's dig in a little deeper. Now that we know what belonging is and what it takes to feel belonging, let's talk about why this is important in business. Belonging is good for business. If there's no belonging, we lose money. Businesses are in churn with turnover and attrition and replacing people and re-onboarding and retraining. And there's this social belonging is a fundamental need. We've seen this from Baumeister and Leary, and it's hardwired into our DNA. And there's a Harvard Business Review article that states that even despite that, 40% of people say that they feel being isolated at work. And the result has been lower organizational commitment and engagement. Both commitment and engagement go down when someone doesn't feel like they belong. So the converse of that is if I do feel belonging, my commitment and my engagement goes up, right? You guessed it. The top 3 reasons for employees leaving their jobs voluntarily, cited by McKinsey: they don't feel valued by their organization, they don't feel valued by their managers, and they don't feel a sense of belonging. Those are the top 3 reasons given in the McKinsey study for people voluntarily choosing to leave their jobs. In fact, Gary Chapman and Dr. Paul White, who wrote the book, The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace, said of those who voluntarily quit their jobs, 80% cited a lack of appreciation as a primary reason. 80%. I think there's something we can improve on here. Now, when we do feel belonging, we're going to be better off. We're going to be better employees. We're going to be better workers. We're going to be more productive. In fact, again, from the Harvard Business Review, when people feel like they belong at work, they say they're more productive, more motivated, and more engaged, and 3.5 times more likely to contribute to their fullest potential. 3.5 times their fullest potential. Glint, which is an people-driven organizational employee engagement organization, they gave this study, or the results from their study. When employees feel a strong sense of belonging at work, they are over 6 times more likely to bring their best selves to work and do their best work. Only when a person feels like they belong will they bring their best and do their best. Let me say that again. Only when someone feels like they belong will they bring their best and do their best. And this doesn't just apply in the workplace. How do we create belonging? It's up to us as leaders to do that. We've got to go into a little bit of neuroscience. So I'm going to talk about how we manage and handle emotions, because belonging is about interpersonal relationships. There's a lot of emotions tied in there. So let's dig into that. Joy is what creates belonging. Sharing joy specifically creates belonging. What's joy? Dr. Alan Shore is a neuropsychologist out of UCLA, probably the world-renowned researcher and practitioner of attachment theory. Says joy is what I experience when someone is glad to be with me. Let me say this again. Joy is what I experience when someone is glad to be with me. Let's talk about that definition he gives. So, joy is not based on circumstances. It's not about me being happy. And it's not about my feelings. It's about someone else and how they feel toward me. It's relational. It's about another person and them being glad to be with me. It's emotional. It's not logical. So we're not going to reason our way into being in joy. And it's a reaction. I sense this. Go back to walking into an environment or into a meeting or a dinner party and feeling that sense of belonging. You instantly feel this, right? It's a reaction. You don't choose joy. Joy is a reaction to how others are behaving and demonstrating toward us. And then lastly, it's motivating. It's the clean, high octane fuel for your brain. When you feel joy, there's oxytocin and other good hormones that are swarming around in your brain, not the stress hormones that can really do some damage. But these are the good hormones that are healthy for your brain and helping you be your best. So let's talk about what's going on in the brain. I'm going to share some more slides with you because I think this is important. So everybody's heard about left brain and right brain and how some people are left brain and right brain, and left brain's more analytical, right brain's more creative. Yeah, kind of. Let's get some more definition around that. And here's the cool thing. Over the past 20 or 30 years, brain science and research has given us the ability to actually track thought. We can actually monitor how things are happening in the brain and where it occurs and what triggers what. And so I'm going to use all of that as the basis for this brain science primer I'm going to give you. Okay? We do know that there's two parts of the brain, and actually we have two separate brains, the left brain and the right brain. And there are unique functions in each brain, the left and right brain, that predominantly are processed there. So the left brain is the logical, problem-solving brain. It's doing things like processing words and verbal communication. It's going into the details and it's processing logical things and being very precise and analytical. It's detached, meaning it's going to be focused in on a problem and just kind of have blinders on and not aware of what's going on around it. It's going to be detached from its awareness, and it's where choices are made. Your left brain is where your conscious thought occurs. And it's where you can make a choice. It's where your beliefs exist, actually. How about the right brain? Well, the right brain actually operates faster than the left brain. It operates at about 1/6 of a second. The left brain operates at 1/5 of a second. So it's a little bit slower. So things going on in the right brain are kind of supraconscious. Not kind of, they are supraconscious. It's the gut feeling, the reactions that we have that we don't have choice over because that's left brain. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on in the right brain. This is where music and tone are processed. We're taking in the big picture. We're being imaginative and very general in our thinking, not 27 bullet points, but 3 bullet points, right? It's where we're more creative and empathetic versus being detached. We're empathetic to those around us and to the environment around us. And it's where our reactions occur. Again, not choices, but reactions are going to occur in the right brain. Now, we want both sides of our brain functioning 100% all the time. I would say we were designed to operate 100% full brains, both left and right. Problem is, we're not always operating that way. And brain science shows that a portion of the right brain can shut down. Let me tell you about that. So, in the left brain, well, when the right brain is off, we're going to primarily function out of the left brain, and it's going to look something like this. I'm going to try to make my point, or be right, or fight to win. I'm going to try to convince you. I'm going to try to solve or fix a problem. I'm going to be unaware. That's the detached part of it. I'm looking to avoid a pain, emotional pain, or maybe physical pain. There are outbursts that are going to occur. I'm losing my self-control, and I'm going to suspect you. You who are in front of me, I'm going to suspect you that you're not on my side, and therefore I'm going to treat you as my enemy. Pretty sad. But when our right brain is on, our behaviors look a little different. We're more collaborative and tuned in with others and the world and how we should relate with the world. We are open to others, and we're more curious. We are seeking mutual outcomes. I'm glad to be with you. I'm controlling my impulses, and I trust you. And I treat you as my ally. I can see that you're on my side, and I want us to work together. Now, again, we can lose the right brain, can lose access to all the goodness in the right brain, and we revert to left brain functioning. And that's how our behaviors come out. Now, when we're working with teams or in relationships and marriages and in family and friendships, these types of behaviors are just not conducive to a healthy relationship, are they? Well, if we can get that right brain on and functioning, then we're going to be in a much better spot, aren't we? So let's talk about what's going on in the right brain and what's called the relational circuit. How are we relating to the world, and how are we relating to others around us? And I'm going to, again, use the left brain, right brain illustration. We start out in the base of the brain at the thalamus, and this is called the attachment center. Everything that's coming in from around your world gets processed here first, and the thalamus determines for you, is this important? Am I attached to this? Okay, so a bottle of water when I'm thirsty is going to be very important. I'm going to want to drink some water. But I'm not really interested in sand. It's important if I want to enjoy the beach. So it can be a thing, but it can also be a person. Remember, we talked about when Baumeister and Leary that we want attachments, personal attachments. So we're getting somewhere here when we're talking about belonging. The next level, level 2, that is processed in the right brain is the assessment center. This is the amygdala. This is what determines if it's good, bad, or scary. Whatever we're receiving from the world, is it good, bad, or scary? It's going to tell us what we're going to do next. Remember, the right brain is working supraconsciously. So this is all happening before we've even had conscious thought. The next level is the attunement center. This is the cingulate cortex. And this is where it becomes personal. And the cingulate cortex is determining for us, does someone understand me in this situation? So whether it's good, bad, or scary, is there someone here who understands me? We then would proceed to level 4, which is the action center. This is the right prefrontal cortex, and this is where do I know how to act, or can someone help me know how to act? In other words, what's my character here? What's my identity? What's my group identity? What's it like us to do in this circumstance? Okay. As long as we're processing this in a healthy way, we're going to continue on to level 5, which is the left prefrontal cortex. And we're going to synchronize our right brain and left brain. And this is where it's determined for me, can I make sense of this? This is kind of the logical part of the brain, right? So all of this is happening before conscious thought. And this is happening between us as humans, face to face. We're determining all of these things in our right brain before we even think about consciously what we're going to say and do. Again, the right brain can shut down. But before I get to that, I just want to say we can operate logically in our left brain without the right brain shutting down. We call this task mode. So I can just be working at a computer, working on a spreadsheet, or typing, or writing a document, writing a book, or something like that. And I'm just in heavy task mode. Now, here's the thing. What if I get interrupted? What if someone comes into my office and says, hey, I got a problem. I got an issue. What's going to be my reaction to that? You're interrupting me. I'm in the middle of something. Right? Isn't that typically what can happen? Or would we respond, hey, I'm curious. What's going on? How can I help? Help me understand you. That's pretty atypical, I would say, particularly in the workplace. And what happens is we're operating in that left brain and that right brain shuts down. We're being interrupted. There's some kind of pain, emotional pain, or a problem, and it's switching over to the logical side, the left brain. This is what it looks like. I feel an emotion. And there are 6 universal negative or unpleasant emotions: shame, anger, despair, sad, afraid, or disgust. Again, shame, anger, despair, sad, anger, disgust. If I can't handle those emotions, any one of them that I'm feeling, then my brain is going to literally have this biochemical switch. It's going to switch over. I'm going to shut off, or at least dim, that relational circuit getting to level 3, level 4, level 5. And I'm going to stay in that lower brain. The thalamus and amygdala are in the lower brain, and it's going to just function there to try to solve the problem. And it's just not healthy and relational for us to respond that way and react that way. I talked about how we can not trust people, we suspect them, and we treat them as the enemy. This is where that happens. We can either do 2 things, kind of shrink away or shut down. That's the flight or freeze response that we have. Or we're going to fight back. We're going to actually have a high energy response. It's either low energy response, I'm going to freeze or shut down or just flee, or I'm going to fight back. That's a high energy response. Low energy, high energy. But either way, I'm in enemy mode. I'm responding to you, reacting to you in a way that's not healthy because I just can't handle the emotion. Now, what if we could somehow jumpstart that relational circuit and get back to all the goodness that comes from level 3 and level 4? Because that's where we're actually going to feel joy. We can actually get back to joy by jumpstarting that relational circuit. And we do that with something we call appreciation, practicing appreciation. Here's the point. I'm feeling joy, then I can share that with you, and that creates a sense of belonging. If I'm feeling joy, then I can share that with you, and that creates a sense of belonging. So, what does it look like for me to jumpstart that using appreciation and share joy. Let's move on. Appreciation takes a few things. It's purposeful activation of positive memories. Purposeful activation of positive memories. It's intentionally remembering joyful moments, something special or meaningful. It's helpful if there's someone else there because it's relational. And we want to re-experience the emotions tied to that memory. They're joyful or peaceful emotions. We want to re-experience those. And the best thing to do is for us to practice appreciation in times when we're not in enemy mode, so that when we do get bumped into by somebody else, that circuit is stronger. We're able to handle that emotion, that unpleasant emotion, better. Right? This is kind of like going to the gym and exercising your muscle. You need to work these relational circuit muscles and build them up. The good thing is we can't. What's it look like? So trust me for a minute here. I just want you to close your eyes. Thanks for participating. Nothing's going to come out of the screen at you. Just close your eyes. And I want you to think about a golden moment. I'll call it a golden moment. Some positive memory of being with someone that made you smile or at peace. Just a positive memory. Now, I want you to replay this memory in your mind like a video. Just kind of rewind and replay it over and over and over again. Binge watch this positive memory. And as you do, I want you to try to pick out new details each time you replay it. Relive it. Notice what's going on with your five senses, what you see, taste, hear, touch, or smell. Notice how you feel. How does your body feel? And how do you feel emotionally? What are the expressions on your face? Now, I want you to give that memory a name, some headline title, 3, 5, 7 words, just name it. And I want you to write that down. Don't forget this. This is an appreciation moment. This is an important moment in your life where you are able to help yourself get back to joy. And the best thing you can do is share that moment with somebody else. So as you share with them the name of that moment and just, 10, 20-second recap of that moment, you're sharing joy with them. Appreciation, practicing appreciation kind of helps switch that joy switch back to going the right way through levels 1, 2, 3, 4, because the memory exists in the right prefrontal cortex. When I ask you to go to a golden moment, it is stored in the right prefrontal cortex. You have to go there. You're forcing your brain, kind of jump starting that relational circuit to get to the right prefrontal cortex and experience joy. And when you share it, you're multiplying joy with others. And as I mentioned before, sharing joy creates belonging. You're glad to be with them. They sense that, feel joy, and they share joy back. And it's multiplying. We're helping one another experience joy. In summary, only when you feel like you belong will you bring your best and do your best. This is at work, at home, in marriages, in relationships, with children, with other family members, with friends, at church, any kind of group. Only when you feel like you belong will you bring your best and do your best. Joy means someone else is glad to be with me. Someone else is glad to be with me. Appreciation energizes that relational circuit and gets the joy center active. And sharing joy creates belonging. And finally, it's up to you to create belonging around you. Don't wait on somebody else. Don't expect them to do it. It's not up to them. You know now. You've been ruined. Now it's up to you. Share joy, create belonging. The 333. I encourage you, just like you wrote down that moment you just experienced, do this 3 times a day for 3 minutes with 3 appreciations. 3 times a day for 3 minutes, 3 appreciations. You do that for 30 days, neuroscience shows that you'll reset your brain. Write those things down and share them with someone close to you. I'd love to have more conversations about this with you. Feel free to contact me, scan this QR code, email me, go to this website, joycreatesbelonging.com. There's a couple of writings on there. I write about leadership and how joy impacts leadership. So I would love to interact with you and answer any questions and maybe help your teams. Thanks. Appreciate it. I think we're now going to take questions and answers.